Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about Lucy Letby. And I found an article that I found very interesting. I hope you'll find it interesting too. And it was on a, believe it or not, a Catalan, so not even Spanish, but a Catalan sort of website, the Library of Catalunya. It's probably translated from the English into Catalan, and then I've had to translate it back to the English. But I found it very interesting. So it's talking about what somebody said. Now, don't forget everything that I say. I'm declaring where my sources are. This is not something. I haven't been to Bronzefield prison and seen what Lucy Letby's life is like. I am just gleaning things off the internet that people say that I think you might find interesting. You make your own mind up as about all the cases that are discussed on here. Lucy's case, of course, is one of the most controversial British cases ever. There are two very uh, separated sort of schools of thought on Lucy Letby, really. Either people think she's guilty as she was found guilty and she deserves her sentence. She will spend the rest of her life in prison unless one of her appeals are successful for murdering many babies and also endangering the lives of others. But of course, then there are lots of people who think that Lucy is in fact innocent. And of course, she's going through all the processes at the moment of trying to get appeals. She has been refused twice. Will she get an appeal in the end and get a retrial? If she does, it'll be one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in British history, won't it? I mean, a lot of people think Lucy is innocent. Is it just because they can't believe that this sort of, middle class, blonde haired, blue eyed nurse could do something like this? I talked about this in a previous video. Is it the halo effect that she just doesn't look like the type? Or is there real evidence that Lucy's case is a miscarriage of justice? In which case, hopefully, it will get resolved. She'll get her appeal and it will get resolved. Meantime, she's in Bronzefield prison, and that's what we're going to talk about. What this person um, says that Lucy's life is like in this prison. And this article that I'm going to read out to you is by George Odling. And it was written last year, round about this time last year in 2025. So you have to take into account it's a year old, the article. But lots of people have spoken about what Lucy's life is like in prison, but a lot of it is probably speculation. But I think this particular article, um, you can see that this person has had information from an actual previous prison guard at Bronzefield, who you can presume knows something about how the circumstances, how Lucy's circumstances are. But also, we have to take into account that this particular prison guard, we'll see later when we talk about what they say, is no longer working there. So we have to take everything we see on the internet with a bit of a pinch of salt. We have to use our reasoning. We have to look up other information too. We can't just take verbatim everything we see on the internet, can we? But one thing we do know for sure is that Lucy is in Bronzefield prison. She is serving a whole life tariff. Unless her appeals are successful, she will never, ever come out of prison alive. That is the fact. And Lucy is only in her 30s. She's got a long way to go yet. So that's a long life she's going to be spending in prison, isn't it? If she doesn't get a successful appeal. But many people would say she deserves every day of it for what she did. Other people will say, no, no, she didn't do anything. She's completely innocent. And, that's for you to decide what you think. I mean, she has been convicted, though. That's what I always just keep saying at this moment in time. She is a convicted baby killer. And until, if or when ever her sentence is overturned, she is guilty. She was found guilty. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to have a little chat about the prison itself, first of all, just to give it, so it's quite interesting prisons, aren't they, really, when you look into them. I'm going to try and spotlight some prisons and, some inmates as I have already looked a little bit at Monster Mansion, Wakefield Prison, which is a male prison, of course. I find the female prisons very interesting. I wonder what's more difficult, looking after a load of male prisoners or looking after a load of female prisoners. There's some very violent women, in prison. I don't think Lucy's a violent person. What she did was not violence in the sense of, going around stabbing people. Like Joanne Dennehy, is it? I don't know if she's in this prison or not. But yeah, and over the years, notorious prisoners that I've thought, we read about. Of course, Myra Hindley was a prime example of a very notorious female prisoner. Got Rosemary West, who's still in prison, of course. So, it's interesting, isn't it? And what are women like to look after in prison? Are they harder to deal with, easier to deal with? It's an interesting avenue to explore, in my opinion. Anyway, so as I say, first of all, we're going to actually talk about the prison itself. In this video, we're not talking about Lucy's crimes per se. I don't know. All I know is that Lucy was found guilty. If her appeal is successful, maybe she'll be found innocent, or maybe the convictions will be quashed, and that's fine. But I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I wasn't on the jury. I don't know whether Lucy is innocent or guilty. I have my own opinions, but I don't know. Only Lucy knows that, and her God. And of course, she's been back in the news lately because her friend, the doctor, who was just recently relieved of his position as a doctor and then mysteriously found dead in his car the next day. She's been back in the news because of that. Was she having an affair with him? I did a video about that. In fact, I think I've done a couple of videos about that. What was the truth there? Was this married doctor her lover, or was he just a friend? Again, now only Lucy knows that, because he has passed from this earth in his early 50s, mysteriously. Reading between the lines, it feels like he may have taken his own life. But nothing's been released officially because, of course, it needs to be the inquest, etc. There's still the question of whether he will ever get named. So far, I think he's just been known as Dr. A. Personally, I hope they don't name him, because I think that will be very bad for his family. He's obviously got a wife and maybe children. So that will be very, they're already going through enough, I would think, after what they've been through, with the thought that he might have been, having an affair with Lucy Letby, and then he was sacked. And, there's ripples coming out from Lucy's case. A lot of people suffering, obviously, the parents of the babies that died, most importantly, but then there's ripples going out, and Lucy's parents, how are they suffering? So, yeah, it's a horrible case, whichever way you look at it, whichever opinion you take. But it also is a case that we are interested in, because it is one of the most notorious cases of British history, isn't it? British criminal history. Okay, so let's have a little chat about the prison. So this is the overhead plan of the prison, and the lady on the photo in the centre. This is the director of this prison. Um, and they've got a website, very interesting website actually, which I did have, now I've lost. Yeah, very interesting website, HMP Bronzefield. If you go onto it, it will tell you everything you need to know about this prison. Uh, its slogan, if you like, is our aim is to change lives for the better. And this is, as I say, the director. Her name is Charlotte Wilson. And this is what she says on the website. At Bronzefield, we aim to change lives for the better by operating a safe, decent, and secure prison. Our purpose is to deliver our services with pride and passion, to enable the women in our care to engage in purposeful activity, employment, education, and rehabilitation services, to help them lead law abiding lives in their community on release. Sedex. Now, I need to look into this one day. So, a lot of the prisons in the UK seem to be run or owned by Sodexo Justice. Seen that quite a lot on the prisons. Who owns these prisons? Who's making money out of these prisons? Someone's making money out of them, you can be 100% certain. They're not state run, they're privately run. Anyway, they opened this purpose built facility for women in 2004, and it marked a step change in prison facilities for women in the UK. HMP and YOI, but I don't know what why don't people talk in proper words anymore? Why is everything initials? Is it, I presume YOI stands for Young Offenders Institute or something like that, but I don't know. Anyway, it's a dynamic and forward-thinking women's prison, which accommodates a diverse and complex population of women from courts across the south of England. We work in partnership with organisations across different areas to assist offenders in improving their outcomes and contributing positively to their local community. Our partners share our vision and help us to achieve our aims, making things better for all through teamwork, care, compassion. I personally take safety very seriously and expect everybody else to do the same. Whether you are a family member of a prisoner or a prospective employee, you can be sure that safety for all is our top priority. I am proud to lead a team of professionals who are passionate about rehabilitation and reducing reoffending within a progressive prison here at Bronzefield. So that's what Charlotte says on the website. Now there are, if you just have to tap in hmpbronzefield.co.uk. You'll get the phone number, you'll get the address. I presume you can contact prisoners if you wanted to send them a letter or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But as I say, their slogan is our aim is to change lives for the better. And it says, welcome to Bronzefield. In Sodexo Justice, Sodexo Justice, we aim to change lives for the better by operating safe, decent, secure prisons. We rehabilitate those in our care. We provide purposeful activity, employment, education, rehabilitation services. We support offenders to lead law abiding lives in their community on release. We run the full prison operations, including prison custody officers, integrated facilities management, and we provide rehabilitation services, resettlement programs, offender behaviour programs, education and skills development, vocational training, workshops and industries. We also have a separate mother and baby unit, which each accommodate 12 mothers and 13 babies. We work in partnership with many different organisations and charities to improve the outcomes for those in our care. Our partners share our vision and help us to achieve our aim to change lives for the better. Our prison population demographic is complex and diverse, but our regime offer caters for everyone, and outcomes for women are good in all areas. Anyway, then it goes on. I won't read out the whole website, but it's interesting. It talks about the rehabilitation, recovery, how to work there if you want to apply for a job. I think it must be quite sort of interesting being prison officer. Seeing people like Lucy sort of close up, maybe to getting to know them, because the thing is, Lucy Letby's face must be one of the most recognised faces. It's probably, even people who are not really that interested in true crime probably know about Lucy's case, certainly in the UK, and know her face. Um, but of course, we don't know her. We don't know her as a person. So to actually get to know her as a person would definitely be intriguing, wouldn't it? Any notorious prisoner, female or male. I was thinking particularly about Myra Hindley. Myra Hindley, she had almost a ball in prison, didn't she? She had an affair with a prison officer who tried to help her escape. I'd like to do a video on that one day, actually. She had Lord Longford trying to get her released. Like this woman who helped a man murder children. Because if Myra Hindley, if Ian Brady wouldn't have had Myra Hindley to lure these children into her car, because children are more likely to trust a woman, aren't they? Ian Brady, and there was Ian Brady following behind on his motorbike, and she would take the child up on the moors, knowing what Ian Brady was going to do to that child. She's a foul woman. And then you get do-gooders like Lord Longford. Yeah, it definitely deserves a video, this. Not about the actual murders themselves, I've done that. But, about Myra Hindley's experiences in prison. She always felt she was going to be released. She tried to change her image. How could she ever change her image? I mean, to me, Myra Hindley was worse than Ian Brady, because at least Ian Brady recognised he was a monster. He didn't want to get out of prison. He showed no remorse or anything like that, but he didn't try and throw himself on people's pity and say, oh, I didn't, he made me do it. She made me do it, Just, this is really what Myra Hindley did. It's like, oh no, I didn't want to kill those children, but he made me do it. I was so in love with him. Just even that's worse, isn't it? At least Ian Brady, he admitted what he was, which was a complete monster. And Myra Hindley trying to make out she's some sort of nice person. But she had, you know what? She cast a spell on the prison officer that tried to help her escape. Myra Hindley, sometimes I wonder, she was, as I say, in my opinion, worse than Hindley, because she was good. She was good at masking what she was. Don't think Ian Brady really tried to pretend he was anything he wasn't, which was a total psychopath. But there's Myra, trying to be, I don't know, trying to be this nice person. But anyway, yeah, that's for another video. I'm definitely going to do that. Myra Hindley's experience in prison and how people tried to get her released even after all the terrible things that she did. How did you cast a spell on them? So that's the actual prison. Let's just see, actually, while I'm just talking about it. Um, there's a few inmates in there that we might know. Of course, one of the most notorious inmates in there, well, Lucy's the most notorious inmate in there, but also um, Constance Martin, who is the sort of aristocrat who went on the run with a really weird boyfriend with their baby, and the baby died. Um, she's actually appealing her sentence at the moment. And that's another video I'd like to do again. I have talked about Constance Martin and how they murdered, well, probably not murdered, but what's the word? Gross negligence is what she was found guilty of in the death of her newborn daughter Victoria, and that's definitely true. So she's in there. Of course, Bainish Batul is in there, who's the stepmother of Sarah Sharif. We're going to talk about her later because she seems to have developed a friendship with Lucy, or so it's said. We've got some Sharon Carr, who's Britain's youngest female murderer, convicted of a motiveless killing at age 12. Rose West was in there, but she's been transferred now. Gemma Mitchell, an osteopath, convicted of murdering a friend for financial gain and then decapitating her. Goodness. All these bad women, do you know, like, there's a lot of bad women, isn't there, as well? It's not only men that do these awful things. Nicola Edgington, convicted of murdering a member of the public and attempting to murder another. I don't know that case. And Safia Shaikh, who's an extremist plotter who planned a terrorist attack on St. Paul's Cathedral. So they're sort of notorious. And also, remember Henry Novak, his killer? Do you remember his mom hid the knife and then she was given a prison sentence? She's been in there as well. Whether she's still in there or not, I don't know, but she was in there. They call it the Female Monster Mansion. Again, that deserves a video in its own right, doesn't it? But of course, not everybody who's in this prison will be a murderer. There'll be women in there for all sorts of things. Anyway, we're going to talk about what Lucy's life is like in this prison because, baby killers, not only men, but women, they are targets generally. But I do think that quite often women are in prison for killing their children. It's quite it's more common than you think, isn't it? You can't quite believe it. There's a big case going on in America at the moment, which I'm not going to cover because it's too upsetting. Again, about a mother murdered her 3 children. You know, we always think that women, we trust in their sort of maternal instinct as opposed to, as a mother, your whole mission in life is to protect your children, isn't it? That's how you feel as well. It's not only that, that's what you should do, that's how you feel when you have children. It's a very overpowering emotion, but not for every woman, is it? Some women do terrible things to their children, even their biological children, their own children. And Lucy did these terrible things to other people's children. Bainash Batul did terrible things to her stepdaughter, but women do terrible things to their biological children when they get in their way, or sometimes it is because of postpartum depression or things like that. But yeah, it's very sad actually. I think it's more common than we think, because maybe we don't sort of look into it enough. And I include myself in that. Tend to concentrate on men who do terrible things, but women do truly terrible things too, sadly. When we wanted equality, we didn't mean equality of being twonks, did we? So, these pictures, of course, are Lucy in happier days when she was working on the wards. She would look very happy, like holding babies or with the baby grows, etc. It's quite. I personally find these photos quite chilling, but maybe it's just like a bias in my head because of what I think of Lucy. But yeah, I just want to tell you actually, because I think I forgot to tell where Bronzefield is. And it is in the south of England. It's in Ashford, in Middlesex. That's where the prison is. So, yeah, it's the female monster mansion. That's one of the reputations it's got. But it is a young offenders institution as well. So not everybody who's in this prison is a murderer. Um, yeah, interesting. Anyway, so let's start reading you this article. So, according to this man, George Odlin, as I say, a year ago, he said there's one cell in HMP Bronzefield's Unit 4 which is unlike all the others. Amid the chaos and squalor of the 527 inmate prison, it is immaculately clean and tidy, with a neatly made bed at all times. Now, it's interesting this because you'll see that saying that Lucy apparently is very orderly. And to me, I think if you're in prison, you would keep your cell orderly, all right, because that's you haven't got control over much in your life, have you? So one thing you have got control over is your own cell and keeping it clean, keeping the bed made and that, and that's got to help a little bit with your mental health, surely, rather than living in chaos. But anyway, so this is what this guy is saying. So many of the prisoners here don't even know how to do the basic things, like change their sheets or keep things clean. But her cell is always spotless, a prison source said. There isn't a thing out of place or a speck of dust. It feels eerily clean. It almost reminds me of a hospital ward. But that doesn't feel right to say for obvious reasons, but they said it anyway. The occupant of the most pristine cell in Europe's largest women only prison is, of course, not an average inmate. One of only 4 females in British history to be given a whole life order after being convicted of killing 7 babies and attempting to murder 7 more. Lucy Letby's case is extraordinary by any measure. Last week, the Daily Mail revealed that the former neonatal nurse had been fast-tracked to an enhanced prisoner status when she arrived, largely for her own protection. So she was fast-tracked, apparently, to enhanced prisoner status when she arrived at HMP Bronzefield, largely for her own protection. And for the first time, the mundane, tragic, and bizarre details of her life behind bars can be told in full. Lucy, 35, she may be 36 now because this was a year ago, has been in custody since November 2020, but she was given the whole life order in August 2023. Since then, her day has begun with an 8 a.m. wake-up call from a prison officer. As one might expect, most inmates resent being shaken from their slumber, but Letby is a what? An outier in this respect. Oh, she doesn't mind being woken. Well, you know what? Some of us are early birds. I like getting up early. Uh, so, maybe prison would suit me. I don't know. So by the time her door is unlocked, she is dressed, clean, ready to start her day, a source said. Letby and the other enhanced prisoners are given an hour to have their breakfast. Then they have the option to attend an educational workshop from 9 a.m. For our enhanced prisoners, we have a lot to offer here, the source added. A beauty salon. What? Barista training, various other educational workshops. Lucy can't always go for her own protection. She can't mix with some of the more dangerous inmates, but when she can, she takes advantage of the programs. Prison life is one of rigid routine, and Bronzefield, on the outskirts of Ashford in Surrey, and run by Sodexo Justice Services. I'm going to Google that in a minute. Sodexo Justice. Who's making the money out of these prisons? Is no different. Lunch at the jail, which was opened in 2004, is at midday on the dot. Dinner is served at 4:30 p.m. and Letby will be expected back in her cell by 7 p.m. So a cell at HMP Bronzefield. Inside hers, Letby has access to a television with Freeview channels and a DVD player, as well as books and films she can order from the library. HMP Bronzefield, which opened in 2004, is Europe's largest women-only prison, and it houses 527 inmates. Right, I'm just going to Google that Sodexo. You know, when you get to the bottom of these companies, who owns it? Company, let's see. So its registered offices in London. Who's the CEO? I mean, who's... Sorry. So, yeah, I need to do this. I'm just doing this on the hoof. I think it's French. So the founder was Pierre Bellon. His wife, well, I presume it's his wife, or it could be his daughter, I suppose. Sophie is the chairwoman of the board of directors. And it does like food service as well. Yeah, initially it was restaurants. So they've got places all over Belgium, Africa, Middle East, Japan, South Africa, Russia, North America. How did they get into the prison industry, I wonder? Interesting. Oh, and it controls universities as well. And anyway, that needs a video in itself, doesn't it, to look into it, you know? French. It's French originally. Well, you know for a fact that somebody will be making an awful lot of money out of these prisons, don't you? Okay. So, unlike many inmates, her enhanced status means she will have plenty to occupy her throughout the long and lonely evenings. So, yeah, it's saying there about what she has access to. So, although a coveted position inside a jail, the job is a difficult one because she can. Sorry, I think I missed a bit out there. So, her privileged position has also helped to, to secure a paid cleaning job, which allows extra time out of her cell to scrub the rest of the unit, including the food servery. Oh, I don't think I'd like Lucy. That's like having Erin Patterson prepare your meals, isn't it? Although a coveted position inside a jail, the job is a difficult one, given that the cleaning products permitted for use are cheap, off brand chemicals which have been heavily watered down. We can't provide any substances that could cause issues for staff if somebody throws it in your face, a source said, or puts it in your food. Plus, it needs to be less poisonous in case anyone tries to swallow it. You can't just hand out bleach in a prison. Letby is paid a small wage for her work, but the hours she can clean are limited because she cannot mix with any of the other prisoners, deigned by staff to represent a threat to her safety. She probably averages about 8 hours a day out of her cell, the source said. And when you compare that to parts of the overcrowded adult prison estate, where bang up is 23 hours a day, she's doing very well. Now, the reason I've got Bain Ashbutul's picture up here and lovely Sarah Sharif, who, was murdered by this woman and her own biological father. One inmate whose staff are comfortable allowing near Letby is Bain Ashbutul, who is serving a 33-year sentence for the murder of her 10-year-old stepdaughter Sarah. The two women, both jailed for the most deplorable acts against children, have formed an uneasy alliance and are said to have been spotted playing cards together. Letby has been spotted playing cards with Baynash. But former prison officer Linda de Sousa Abreu, 31, was also on the unit until her recent release after she was filmed having sex with an inmate. A Bronzefield source said, "I wouldn't call them friends. I don't think Lucy has any friends, but they mix a lot together. There's a bit of unspoken solidarity between them. Oh my God, I mean, it's an unholy alliance, isn't it? What have you got? When you meet friends, you've always got something in common, haven't you? It might be you've got children of the same age, or you work at the same place, or you're similar age, or whatever. What they've got in common is they're both child murderers. So there's a bit of unspoken solidarity between them, given they are both in for such horrific crimes. Who else would mix with them? Another inmate on Letby's unit until her recent release was a married former prison officer who was jailed after she was filmed having sex with an inmate. I remember that. It was a male inmate, actually, that one, wasn't it? Linda de Sousa Abreu, 31, was sentenced to 15 months after admitting misconduct in public office, as it emerged that the burglar she had sex with had a heavily pregnant partner at the time. Oh, for fuck's sake, you couldn't make up this crazy world, could you? You just couldn't make it up. See, this is the problem, isn't it? Prison officers, like police, like doctors, like nurses, like everyone, they're not all perfect, they do things wrong. I mean, why would she risk everything? Surely, if you're a prison officer, you know that you're going to be filmed. Or was it another? Actually, I'm not sure it wasn't another inmate who filmed. That's another video. It's another case to look at. I mean, you just, the batshit world that we live in, you never be short of something to talk about in a video, will you, about true crime? So, like Letby, she was also fast tracked straight to the enhanced unit for her own protection because she was a former guard at HMP Wandsworth in southwest London. She had an even larger target on her back than the former neonatal nurse convicted of killing babies, the source said. And the risk of attack from other inmates is a serious one. Oh, this mad world. So just looked up this woman out of curiosity. This is Linda de Sousa Abreu. This is the woman who Lucy was mixing with. So this woman was a pariah while she was in prison, not because she'd murdered babies, but because she's an ex-prison officer. So she had to be put on enhanced status, for her own safety. And that's how she ended up mixing with Lucy and Benish Batul. I suppose they've got no choice really, but all mixed together. So I just want to tell you about her case briefly. So, yeah, she was filmed having sex with an inmate. And on January 6th of January 2025, at Isleworth Crown Court, she was sentenced to 15 months imprisonment. So a short sentence, because at the end of the day, she didn't murder anybody, did she? But she actually had sex with an inmate, a male inmate in a male prison, and at the same time let another inmate video it. I mean, she's not the sharpest tool, is she? What? I mean, first of all, having sex with the inmate is bad enough. But then you're talking about letting another inmate actually film it. So, of course, that video reached went viral. What was she thinking? What was she thinking? So anyway, Lionel Edan, who's the chief Crown prosecutor for the Crown Prosecution Service, said the actions of this defendant have not only had an impact on the trust that the public places in prison officers, it has also tarnished that of the majority of hard-working prison staff who carry out their duties with bravery, integrity, and professionalism. Actually, makes me quite emotional that because it's true. Being a prison officer, it's not a walk in the park, is it? So you people go to work every day and they do their jobs with integrity and professionalism, and then this twonkette comes along and just ruins the reputation. I mean, what was she even thinking about? So she was convicted of misconduct in a public office. She's 30. She was on duty. She entered the prisoner's cell on June the 27th and had sex with him. The encounter was filmed by another inmate and it lasted for almost 5 minutes. Ooh, 5 minutes. Ooh, God, that must have been a thrill. Ooh, 5 minutes. My God. Bloody hell, what is that? Oh, for fuck's sake. 5 minutes, 5 whole minutes. So she pled guilty to one count of misconduct in a public office at a hearing at Isleworth Crown Court today. I just don't know what was going through this woman's head. I'm sorry. You can see what was going through the prisoner's head and the other prisoner's head. It's all about sex showing up the prison service, etc. You can see why they did it. Why did she do it? So the prosecution's case was that she willfully committed misconduct in a public office. She abused her position as prison officer to have sex with an inmate. Well, I hope it was worth it, because I think she's married as well. So after the video went viral on social media, she was identified by HMP Wandsworth staff and was arrested by the Met Police at Heathrow Airport. She had telephoned the prison as she fled to the airport to say she was not coming back to work and her husband would return her equipment. Oh, for fuck's sake. Her poor husband. What equipment? What? God. So Tete Turkson of the Crown Prosecution Service, you couldn't make life up, could you? Said this was a shocking breach of the public's trust. D'Souza was clearly an enthusiastic participant who wrongly thought she would avoid responsibility. What? What? The CPS recognises, you know what, there should be an extra prosecution, an extra for just being a total fucking bellend. Sorry, excuse my French. I don't like swearing really on videos, but sometimes things just, yeah, she should have been prosecuted for being a complete idiot. She's a married woman as well. So her poor husband, he's had to suffer all this because everybody will know about it. So the Crown Prosecution Service recognises there is no excuse for any, I hope she hasn't got children, for any prison officer who conducts themselves in such a manner, and will never hesitate to prosecute those who abuse their position of power. I just don't understand her motivation. Just for a quick leg over, and a very quick one, 5 minutes? Ooh, a whole 5 minutes. After working closely with the Metropolitan Police to build the strongest possible case, D'Souza had no option but to accept she was guilty. Well, there's a video for a start. She will now rightly face the consequences of her actions. So she was there. She had to be protected for her own safety because, of course, she's an ex prison officer. So she would have been a target. So she ended up having to hang around with baby murderers and child murderers like Lucy and Baynash. I mean, what's this photo for a start? I mean, social media, if you're in, I'm sorry, this is just a fact of life at the moment. If you want to become a prison officer or a policeman or a social worker, or, your social media, look at her social media. Sorry, she's deliberately provocative. That's not appropriate for a prison officer. I'm sorry. If you want to go on Instagram or whatever and put on all these pictures showing your booty off and what have you, fine, but don't be a prison officer. Don't be a prison officer. That says a lot, really, doesn't it, about her character? I wouldn't put a picture on like that. It's like, just, what's wrong with these people? Has she had a lobotomy or something? Somewhere along the line, has she had a lobotomy? Anyway, I thought we'd just look that up and let you know what happened there. I'm sure I was just sort of reading online that there is apparently a lot of prisons. He was a serial burglar, the guy that she had the 5 minute, fantastic experience with. Um, how can I? Oh, so she'd done it before as well. So apparently, investigators discovered footage on her own official prison body worn camera showing another SEX act with the same inmate. So not only she'd let the other inmate film it, she was caught on her own body cam. How thick is this woman? She's this thick on her own body cam. Oh my God. Anyway, she only served 5 months, by the way. She was released on this early release scheme, so she only did 5 months. And, to be fair, I don't know if prison was the right place for her because, you know, should you get a prison sentence for just being a total plonk? I don't know. She didn't kill anybody. She didn't, harm anybody except her husband, really, I suppose, and the reputation of prison officers. Um, Anyway, apparently she's publicly expressed deep regret. She called it the biggest mistake of her life. No shit, Sherlock. Um, yeah, her husband, I feel for her husband, to be honest. Anyway, apparently there's a bit of a campaign going on of inmates, try sort of targeting new recruits and things, and trying to, it's like, I suppose, the thing is, when you're in prison, what else have you got to do with your time? I suppose it's like a game, isn't it? See if you can get one of these prison officers to sleep with you. Oh my God. Oh, what's this world come to? What's this world come to? Anyway, so I think Linda definitely wins the prize for being the thicko. I won't put her in for the twonk of the year because she's not really a twonk, because the only person she hurt was her husband, I suppose. She hasn't murdered any babies or children, but she was hanging out with them because, there was no one else for her to hang out with. But she only served 5 months in prison. God knows how she's going to rebuild her life. Perhaps she'll become an OnlyFans model or something like that. I think she's better suited to that, looking at that photo. And, to be fair, she'll probably make more money. Anyway, I thought I'd just let you know. I thought I'd just look it up and let you know now who she is. So apparently, she gets these perks. She gets a visit every week. Her parents come and see her. They're convinced of her innocence. They've become practically recluses since all this has happened. But because of her enhanced status, she does get more perks. £33 a week for the canteen. Standard prisoners only get £19.80, and those who are placed on basic as a punishment only get £5.50. So compared to the usual prisoner, Lucy is a breeze. Apparently she's easy to look after, which doesn't surprise me. Anything Lucy has done bad, she's done undercover, hasn't she? Like in secret. She's not an open rule breaker, is she? So the canteen menu is standardised across Britain's prisons, and according to information they've got from HMP Chelmsford in Essex from 2023, Kinder Bueno chocolate 60p, Snickers bars 80p, 59p for a can of Pepsi. Also, you can get a bottle of herbal essences shampoo for £3.79, a box of 20 Earl Grey tea bags for £1.59, and a burgundy pillow cover at £2.89. And the only people that are said to have visited Letby in the prison, aside from her parents, are members of her legal team who were in more often than any other inmate. So, of course, it's all going on. Lucy's still trying to appeal, isn't she? She has a lot of legal visits, which is unusual for a convicted prisoner, they added. Obviously, staff can't be part of these meetings, but there's a lot of talk about what might go on in them, and the frequency of these visits leaves little doubt that Letby is orchestrating the ongoing battle to clear her name from her prison cell. Yeah. And despite the fact she has twice had applications to challenge her convictions rejected by the Court of Appeal, she appointed a new legal team in September last year. Oh, has she got a go? Maybe she's got a GoFundMe going or something. I mean, a lot of people think Lucy's innocent, so would definitely donate, wouldn't they? So, this is where we are with Lucy. You know, so she's twice had applications to challenge her convictions, but they've been rejected by the Court of Appeal. And she appointed this new legal team in September last year. and you know, they're trying to have her convictions overturned, and they are saying that the murders took place. No murders took place, and instead the babies died or collapsed because of natural causes or poor care. And she's had a flurry of recent visits by her team, apparently. Um, yeah, and then there was some news that came out that 3 members of the senior leadership team at the Countess of Chester Hospital, where Letby murdered 7 babies and attempted to kill another 7, had been arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. But they've not been named, but they've been questioned by detectives at separate police stations last Monday. But remember, this is a year ago, as part of the investigations. And Mr. McDonald made the statement at the time of the arrest, said yet another press release from the police at a very sensitive time when the CCRC are looking at the case of Lucy Letby. Well, the thing is, it's just a waiting game, isn't it? Lucy's a very young woman. If her conviction does get quashed, she's going to get massive compensation, isn't she? Um, she ain't going to want to wait too much longer before she finds out one way or another. But if she exhausts her appeals, then she will be in prison for the rest of her natural life. And to be honest, if she's guilty, she deserves every minute of it. But I don't know if she's guilty. Only Lucy and God know if she's guilty or not. So even if she does end up getting her convictions overturned, but really she is guilty, she's got a lot of, she'll have a lot to pay for in the next world, that's for sure. So I know you'll let me know what you think in this case. It's a very complex case. It's a divisive case, as say. People are divided into what they think about Lucy and her innocence or her guilt. But this moment in time, as we speak, she is guilty. She has been convicted. Only time will tell if she manages to get those convictions quashed. And if she's innocent, I hope she does. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Those are all free ways you can help my channel. A very special thank you to my members, to those of you who send me Ko-fis, PayPal, super stickers, etc. It's very much appreciated the way you all support my channel. Thank you. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.